Hello, 안녕하세요. My name is Peter Oeij and I'm a senior research scientist at TNO. TNO is a research and technology organization with 2,500 staff, and TNO does applied research to support businesses with social, workplace and technological innovation. So today I'm going to talk about these topics. What is workplace innovation? How can we connect it to a new concept called Industry 5.0? And I want to discuss an example of self-organizing teamwork and then compare teamwork between Asia and the West and draw a conclusion, which will be that it's eventually up to management what to do next. First of all, what is workplace innovation? There are a couple of elements that I think are important to take into account. One of them is that it's a renewal of the work organization or a design of jobs. And this is a structural change. For example, the introduction of self-organizing teamwork design or the decentralization of management tasks. Second, it affects how managers and employees behave in the organization. And that's what I call a cultural change, and that has a lot to do with organizational behavior. For example, to improve employee engagement or to develop supportive leadership behavior. And thirdly, it's not technological innovation, but it supports the adoption of technological innovation. And in doing so, it improves the innovative capability of firms. For example, that employees can co-develop technological choices, and that there is employee-driven innovation, which means that employees take the initiative to innovate. So if you want to develop these kind of behaviors, these are the conditions that are important. And when you look at it in a graph, then you see that structural and cultural change together can lead to, at the same time, improve organizational performance and quality of working life under the condition that there is employee engagement. Is it true? Well, research in Europe says that workplace innovation contributes to better business performance, to a better adoption of renewal, innovation and new technology, that it improves the relationships between management, unions and employees. And I think this is particularly relevant for the Korean situation. And that it creates cooperative working cultures and appreciated leadership styles, and that it leads to more innovative work behavior of the employees. So if you have now a rough idea what workplace innovation is, another issue is how can you implement it? And for that purpose, I'm presenting a change model which is based on a specific type of management style that is needed. We know that, for example, in tayloristic and bureaucratic organizations, there is a much centralized, top-down leadership and management style. But if you want employees to be more participating in innovative behavior, you need another style. In Europe, we more focus on what is called a humanized working style, so a human-centered style. We have seen some examples this morning about what a people-centered or human-centricity style means. And it all begins with the strategy of an organization. So how are you going to achieve your purpose, your goals of your organization? You choose a strategy and you base that on a management model. This then influences how you organize your work processes, your production processes, so how you organize your structure. And from this structure, flow how people will behave in such a context. So that leads to what kind of, the kind of culture that you will have in your organization. So as I said, assume that workplace innovation demands a humanistic management philosophy. This means that you decentralize decision-making as much as possible. That doesn't mean you decentralize every decision-making, but no, only at the level where problems occur, people should be able to take the right decisions. Then, if that's a management principle in your structure, in your production system, you will avoid unneeded division of labor, unneeded bureaucracy, unneeded separation of management tasks from operations. And then, in the design of your departments, teams, jobs and tasks, you will see that you will secure a certain level of autonomy at that level. And if you, from this perspective, develop your HR departments and your HR policies, then you will follow a policy that nurtures commitment instead of control. And this then leads to the type of behavior that you can expect in such a structure. Namely, the type of leadership will be more people-centered and bottom-up. And from that, you will see that organizational behavior will put a stronger focus on high employee involvement and engagement. And this will then result in the outcomes I discussed: a good quality of working life, good quality of organizational performance, and more innovative capability in the firm. So the message is, the strategy is important, the culture is important, and the structure are important, and they are related to each other. Okay. Then I'm going to say something about Industry 5.0, and that could be a new context for workplace innovation. In Europe, there is a discussion about the transfer from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0. And this implies a stronger position for workplace innovation because one of the hallmarks is a human-centric approach. And this also aligns with the ideas of self-organizing teamwork. So let's compare them. There are still some commonalities between the two, namely to apply the newest digital technologies and continuous innovation. And also that digitalization will pervade into all production processes. But Industry 5.0 doesn't replace 4.0, it complements 4.0 with human and social values. So there is no sole focus on, for example, economic values or technological values. No, the human-centric approach says that social and human values should have a place as well. If you then look at Industry 4.0, what is the main characteristics? It's said to be technology-driven, focus on efficiency, flexibility, smart factory, a lot of digital connectivity. It's more shareholder-driven. It has a limited interest for society, a limited interest in environmental issues, and there is a dominance of the neoliberal model. And it is economic value-driven. Job destruction is really no issue. Obsolescence of skills is not the responsibility of industries. It's simply said that if you can replace labor or if you can automate jobs, that's no problem. Industry 5.0 takes a different take. It says, for example, one pillar is sustainability. We need more circularity in the economy, reduce energy and emissions and change and transform our energy, and not jeopardize future generations. It says it should be human-centric, which means technology should support humans. Technology should adapt to humans. Technology should not impinge workers' rights. It should not control and monitor workers. And there should be more resilience, a more robust and critical infrastructure, and more strategic value chains, and a strong focus on security like cybersecurity. So all in all, this human-centric aspect, this human-centric pillar is what is new to Industry 5.0, and this links closely to the concept of workplace innovation. Okay. Then I go to the example of self-organizing teamwork. The Korea Labor Institute commissioned a study into workplace innovation in the Netherlands to TNO. And TNO wrote a report about 2 cases of workplace innovation. This report is downloadable for free. One of the 2 cases is Buurtzorg Netherlands, which is a care organization. It's quite different from manufacturing companies, but it has an approach that can be very helpful for manufacturing industries as well. So Buurtzorg means neighborhood nursing. Some facts. First of all, its purpose is to help people live more healthy and autonomous lives. Second, it's a non-profit organization founded in 2006. In 2022, it had 10,000 nurses in about 900 teams. There was an administrative team of about 50 people, and there are 2 directors, but they have a non-hierarchical function. They have a supportive function. Almost 100% of the workforce works in self-managed teams. A team is about 12 nurses. And they work with patients, which are elderly persons with chronic illness or disability, or patients recovering after hospital release. Here you see a graph where you see the number of employees, almost 10 to 11,000, and the number of teams, almost 900. There's a little dip after COVID. So it has been growing rapidly, this model, and it has become very successful. So buurtzorg has a philosophy, a framework, a management style, so to speak. They want to give the best care. They want to focus on self-management because they think professionals can do the job. We don't need to guide them as directors. They have a productivity standard of 65%, 62%. So that's 62% of their hours they are working should be billable. They have support teams. And they have coaches and teams that help with difficult things to be implemented. So all these teams, they work self-managing, but they are not controlled, steered, or directed. No, they are supported by those support teams and coaches. And the back office is not a headquarters. And they always continue to train in knowledge when the team sees it as useful. So the teams are themselves guiding and leading in this regard. They want to remain an attractive employer, and they say, well, if you have problems from the outside, regulations and so on, we will take care of it so that you can do your work. So remember, I told about the link between strategy, structure, and culture. How does that look within buurtzorg? Here you have the 3 elements again. I go by them one by one shortly. And you see that they sort of are interlinked with each other. The picture is linear. Of course, it's more iterative, but to give you a main idea is that strategy results in structure, and structural choices have consequences for the culture. As said, the management philosophy here is important. Not only is their purpose important to help people live healthy and autonomous lives, to be non-profit and to serve your clients best, but also important is that nurses are seen as professionals who know best what needs to be done, and that decentralized decision-making where problems occur is an important viewpoint. Further, these nurses are paid better than their competitors. In terms of structure, you see they have a flat organization, there is no middle management, self-management and self-steering neighborhood teams are what is central. Nurses not only recruit their own clients, they also recruit, develop and fire their own personnel. And nurses, they can buy their own medical supplies when they need, and they can decide on the quality of work. They can engage in different team tasks, they can rotate among tasks, and the team monitors itself, and their productivity target is, as I said, 62%. This then leads to a culture in which nurses feel that they are empowered, that they can make full use of their capabilities. The organization provides trust. The back office provides service and support instead of managing them. And every time a nurse shows responsibility, they also show leadership. And there are a couple of self-management principles. There should be solution-focused communication, solution-focused meetings. Team decisions are made in consensus, and there is the possibility to divide and rotate roles and tasks. Learning is seen as a social, bottom-up and on-the-job activity, and nurses are very willing to exchange knowledge and experience. So the question is, if you want this type of organization in manufacturing or in industries, what do you need to do? what we do see here, if we compare traditional home care organizations and buurtzorg, we see first that traditional organizations on the left, they are more hierarchical, bureaucratic, and they put a strong focus on cost efficiency. And this implies a form of work organization in which a patient, which is X, N, and so on, is treated by different caregivers, A, B, C, D, and E. And the consequence of this is a tailoristic process. There is much division of labor, there is much cost for coordination and planning. It is cheap, but there is no high quality for patients. Look at the right. There are self-managing teams without bosses, and these teams deliver integral care to a limited number of clients. There is no strong division of labor, there are good quality jobs, and there are satisfied patients. The costs are still low because there is no expensive management and staff departments. Instead of bureaucracy and resource efficiency on the left, there is flow efficiency. And this sort of structural mode of how you organize work process is also useful for manufacturing and industries. Okay, here you see, okay, if we can categorize this type of teamwork, then what do we see? If you look at the literature, Heckman has made a model where he makes the distinction that there are sort of 4 tasks, and these are at the highest level, that as a team you set the overall direction, or at a lower level, designing the team and its organizational context, then lower, monitoring and managing work process and progress, and on the lowest level, just executing your team task. And you see on the right, where more of those cells are filled in the blue-purple color, then the more on the right, the more self-steering the team is. And that's interesting. I asked buurtzorg where they place themselves, and they say, well, most of our teams are at the level of self-managing and self-designing. So of course they are all executing their work, but most teams, all teams do monitor and manage their own work process and progress, and some of the teams also design the team and its organizational context. Let's compare some findings about self-organizing teamwork between Asia and the West. What do we see? First of all, this comparison is not very nuanced, but gives an impression of factors that may influence how a team functions, and it will have an effect on the self-managing character of teams and team member behavior. So what do we see? For example, some crucial difference. First of all, in Asia, there is a central role for supervisors in teams. In Europe, there is more often shared leadership. In Asia, team leaders are appointed by management. In the West, team leaders or their representatives are often chosen by the team. In Asia, there is a relatively small regulatory capacity for employees, whereas in the West, it is larger. There's a large regulatory capacity. In Asia, there is a collective sense of team responsibility. In the West, there is more individualism within teams. In Asia, targets, working environment, team design are defined by a company. In the West, these are co-designed by works councils and unions and team members themselves. In Asia, there is important weight on team harmony and avoiding conflict and saving face. In the West, there is more team effectiveness and competition-driven kind of attitude. In Asia, there is a sensitivity for hierarchy and power distance. In the West, there is more a sense of equality and egalitarianism, and there is less power distance. In Asia, there is more deference to authority and seniority, while in the West, there is more deference to expertise. In Asia, team decisions must be accounted for by a higher level. In the West, team decisions not always demand a higher level account. In Asia, teamwork is a shared sense of ownership. In the West, teamwork is more a shared job or a shared assignment. In Asia, there is a collective obligation to improve quality. In the West, there is an individual choice to define a common result. Like I said, it's a bit black and white, but you get the idea that there are some elementary differences. So if you are a Korean employer and an entrepreneur, and you are considering to transform your organization into one that is characterized by workplace innovation, by human centricity, and self-organizing teams, then what are then the elements that Buurtzorg Netherlands applied to their organization, which you could implement in your company? It's a choice, right? So on the side of employees, it's important that Buurtzorg does the following. Employees must be proactive, entrepreneurial, and take initiative. They are expected to be innovative, to contribute to the innovation of the company. They put clients and customers first. They are inquisitive. They must keep their skills up to date. They shouldn't stop learning. They can divide the team task among team members according to their qualifications and motivation. And they embrace a shared leadership for the team. What Buurtzorg expects from people who are sort of managing the work, but remember, there are no managers, like I said, but the work needs to be managed. Design teamwork that meets workplace innovation conditions. So human centricity is a central point of departure. Allow the autonomy that teams need to work in a self-organizing manner. And decentralize decision authority to the level where problems occur. And play, as a manager, a supporting instead of a controlling role. Enable facilities for training and educating employees. Simplify unneeded complexity and reward good work at the level of the team. So not individual, but at the level of the team. And redefine the traditional function of seniority, hierarchy, status into the importance of thought leadership, of coaching and teaching, of inspiring and supporting your employees. So then you can create a human-centric Industry 5.0 type of organization. I come to a conclusion. So what direction to take for Korean employers? It's up to you. Of course, I cannot tell you how you should run your business because I'm not in the position to do that. But in the Dutch report that we have written, there are a couple of tips that you can use. So I refer to the report for that. For now, my conclusion is, you could say, I'm not going to change. You could say, okay, I want to change, or you could still be in doubt. But if an organization wants to implement teamwork in the style of Buurtzorg or Industry 5.0, it's up to management to develop and embrace this new role. So, Gamsahamnida. And one more remark. There is a new book out on workplace innovation. This one. And you can get a 50% discount. Thank you very much.